So here we have a 5 horsepower Briggs and Stratton. I picked it up at a swap meet a couple of days ago, and it's focusing up. And I kind of didn't start doing a video on this, probably because my view count is just so damn low, as I figured why bother. But I kind of got into this thing. I bought it for 10 bucks. It's only 10 bucks. The pull starter pulled, everything seemed cool. I actually started it up on about the third pull by putting gas down the spark plug hole. Then I put some in the carburetor. Then I put a little gas in the tank. The tank actually didn't look too bad. And it runs. I had the thing idling, kind of fine. The oil in it looked like hell. So I drained that out. And when I tipped the engine, I could hear something rattling inside. And I started thinking, well, that's probably the governor, and it was. The governor was shattered in pieces, and it also took out the dipper, the oil dipper on the end of the connecting rod. So I just pulled out the piston. You can see the remnants of the dipper on there. Those parts are actually outside, and the governor. The thing I didn't like was that the connecting rod had a little bit of side to side on the crank. So I'm kind of looking at the crank, and the crank looks pretty good. And the rod looks pretty good, so I think I might be able to just get a dipper. What I don't like is right now is this crank isn't turning too well. Why is that? I don't know, something's rubbing here. There we got the flywheel. What's rubbing? Is it the coil? I don't know, it's like all of a sudden. And the rust is built up here, so let's loosen up the coil and we'll see if we can get rid of that rubbing sound. Okay, we've pulled the coil off. And it's rubbing against this thing, this backing plate here, so we're going to straighten that thing out. That's good. I thought maybe the crank was like bent. Looks straight to me, yes. Actually, it looks a tad off, but the cover's not on, so it has some movement. I think I'm just going to get the dipper for it. The cylinder wall's nice and smooth. There's a lot of low-price piston, connecting rod, and dipper on eBay, but why bother if all I need is the dipper and probably a head gasket. That looks pretty smoked, although I might have one. Yeah, it really looks burnt. Not quite sure what capacity this thing served in. All it has for linkages, run, choke, on, off, so I guess it just ran on the governor. Probably a snow blower or generator, power washer, something, although it's got a regular shaft on it. Okay, I think we're just going to order up the dipper. I need a muffler for it. Also missing one screw from the carb right there. You ever going to find that? Probably not. It's just one of those, you know, fine thread small screws that doesn't exist any place except for on this carburetor. Okay. My intentions for this is probably to put it on the Little Indian mini bike. And here are the remnants of, oops, the governor. You can see all the broken parts. Not that. But here's the old dipper. I actually bent it back into shape so I could kind of tell what it looks like. That part attaches to the connecting rod. Without it, you just don't get any oil circulating. I don't know what makes these things go. Just bad oil. The oil that came out was putrid. Don't think I'm going to replace that though. Okay, new head gasket's coming today, so I'll clean this up. Get the old one off here. pretty dilapidated. Clean the piston up. Some oil in those rings there. Get the gasket off this side. I got a new one of these in my stash. Side cover area is pretty clean. Yeah, just a little gunk. I just gotta wipe it off. This still needs some work. Just need to wipe this down, but it's pretty clean. Piston's clean. It's clean. I gave it a quick light hone. It won't go all the way down because of the crank, but just get some of the glazing off the cylinder. And here's the way to get the piston in. Contract the rings with the clamp. It might be a little too tight here. No. Something's hung up. Problem was I wasn't all the way down on this side on the bottom oil ring. It's going. Tighten it up with the last one. It's in. Okay, the new dipper's on. Look at the clearance there, how tight that is to the bottom. Doesn't hit though. So I had this concern that not having the governor in there would put some of the oil slinging action, but I guess the dipper's good enough to take care of that. Now, there's no way I can get a torque wrench in there, so I just tightened them with a wrench to where I felt they were good, and it spins pretty good. So I'm gonna move on to putting the head on. Got a new gasket. Hopefully it works. Ooh, look at that. Well, no. Look at that. Alright. Head's back on, but not torqued yet. Got the coil back on. We're going to put the side cover on. And an old timer once told me, although I'm an old timer now, to grease a gasket and then it won't stick. I've done it on a couple of engines, but I've never taken it apart to see if it actually works or not. But we're going to try it this time because I may be in here again. Side cover on. I had this muffler in the stash of stuff that I picked up last fall, and seems like it's going to work okay. Kind of a horsepower killer, but nonetheless it's better than nothing. Alright, it's all buttoned up. Got some oil in it. I think I'm going to run this oil for a little while. That is if I get it running, and then get rid of it. Kind of flush it out. But let's see if it runs. Okay, put a little juice in it to help. Let's see what happens. Took the top of the air cleaner off so I could get to the throttle. That's not bad considering I've done nothing to the carburetor at all. What we'll do next, got paint burn off the brand new muffler. I might also add that there's an adjustment, a carb adjustment right here that I can't get to because this plate thing's in the way. So I think I'll take that off and clean that out. I really don't know what the deal is with this side, some kind of diaphragm or something. Don't know. Okay, we took this off, a couple of screws, and some linkage. Now what I want to do is find out how many turns. Am I on it? I can't tell, I'm in the sun here. We're in like 1. So I'm going to take this out. I'm going to shoot some carb cleaner in there. See if that helps smooth it out. It doesn't look too bad, no cruddy. We'll clean that off. It was a little better than before. Not great. Smoother at higher RPMs, that's for sure. Okay, we took the diaphragm off. It looks kind of stretched out, but it's supple still. It's a little spring. It sits like this. I dropped it on the ground. This is what it looks like inside the carb. Sprayed some carb cleaner in there. I think we're going to put it back together. Maybe think about getting a new rubber diaphragm. Well, I cleaned it up and I found a screw that works, believe it or not. Makes it look nice and awkward, but it's the right thread and everything. So let's see what happens now. Alright, we got the new diaphragm for the 5 horsepower Briggs, and we're going to put it in. You can't run it now, it's at night, so we'll just put it in. Comparing the new one with the old one, you can kind of see that it is kind of stretched out in there. Not even kind of, it's very stretched out there, and this one's so flat. That's all in. Yeah, that's a lot. Kind of surprisingly gray looking oil out of it, so a lot of metal, dirt. But I'm doing this oil change, but I don't think I'm going to use this for anything.